My story is about the process of buying a home with my husband, Andreas Suter, a fellow alumni. We graduated together in 2008, and we've been living in our home since July of last year. And this all started last February. We had been renting a house in the mountains for about 3 years, and we were very settled and comfortable and happy there. And we had just started talking about the possibility of buying a house sometime in the next few years, started saving and planning in that direction. And shortly thereafter, we heard from our landlords that they were planning to sell the house that summer. Some plans had changed on their end, and it was a bit of a shock to us because we thought that we would be able to rent from them indefinitely. But it did raise some interesting questions about what to do next. While the house was comfortable, it really wasn't what we were looking for in a house to purchase. For example, we wanted property for horses and usable space for a garden, and it was quite steep. It was a beautiful foothills home, but it wasn't really suitable for our longer term goals. On the other hand, it was really tempting because the owners had said that they would work with us on the price. We were, as I said, very comfortable there. And it felt very much like home already. So it was a bit difficult to imagine uprooting ourselves and moving on to something kind of unknown. So then we started looking at where else we could rent, because it was very important to us to live in the mountains. And we realized pretty quickly that we couldn't find a house that we would be really happy renting in the mountains, or that it would be very difficult. There just aren't very many rentals available. So we thought about it quite a bit, and in the end we decided that the drawbacks of the property really outweighed the benefits of staying there and going with a comfortable, easy route of just staying put. We knew that we were signing up for some uncertainty, but we went with it because we wanted to make the right decision for the long term. So although we had really just started thinking about buying a house, I started to look a little bit more into that possibility. And I found through some research that we were able to, through some programs, put less down on a house than I had thought we would have to. And that kind of opened up possibilities. So after doing quite a bit of research on our own, we contacted a mortgage broker and discussed the possibilities with him and got pre-approved for a mortgage. And next thing we knew, we were heading down the path of homeownership a lot sooner than we thought. So we moved in with my parents and saved really aggressively for a few months. And by the time we got close to having what we needed for a down payment for a house in our price range, we started engaging a buyer's agent and touring houses and thinking really hard about what we actually wanted in a home, which was an interesting process of negotiation and conversation between the two of us. So again, working with that buyer's agent, we had done a lot of the research on our own. We knew a lot of what we wanted, and we acted pretty independently, but we had an expert resource to consult, which I think is a pretty common thread through education at AVS. And we had the usual stresses that most people have when they're buying a house. We had one that was perfect and we couldn't get our offer in fast enough. We had one that we put an offer in on and that didn't pass the inspection. And then finally, the one that we went with, we've lived in since July. And there are a few things that I've noticed about this process that I really attribute to my time at AVS, and credit AVS for giving me the skills to navigate through all of that. First, I was able to accept some discomfort with uncertainty. We forewent the easy, comfortable path of staying, and we wound up with something that we're really a lot happier with than I think we would have been. And here at AVS, I think that students are really in charge of their lives, and embracing uncertainty just becomes a certain nature. In order to move forward in anything that a student does here, They have to take risks and accept that they'll just have to learn and adapt as they go. And again, that's just really increasingly ingrained as you go through your years here at the school. I also felt very comfortable doing independent research and consulting experts when I felt that I couldn't make enough progress on my own. That's how I think most structured learning goes on at this school, is a student pursues something until they feel like they can't go any further on their own, and then they might find another student who's interested, and they might just work on it together, which is what I did with Andreas for a while. And then eventually they might decide that they need an instructor, and they might source one in a variety of ways. But again, I kind of think that's what I did with the mortgage broker and the buyer's agent. And I think also very importantly, I was able to negotiate priorities and what we were looking for with Andreas. And I think this has a lot to do with experiences that we all have at AVS, making decisions that affect other people as a group. And this can range from ordering pizza for lunch and figuring out what people will actually want to eat, versus, and it goes all the way to coming to a common understanding of a law or what someone's sentence should be in the judicial committee. And also, I think students at AVS talk a lot. I think sometimes the conversations are deliberately and delightfully frivolous, and sometimes they are things that people are really passionate about and care deeply about. So I think there are huge skills gained through just those regular interactions in learning to understand what people are really saying and communicating effectively what you mean as well.